This podcast is sponsored by Science-Based Learning. Discover effective language acquisition with their unique system combining ebooks, audiobooks, and videos with an online practice app using spaced repetition to boost retention. Visit sciencebasedlearning.com today.
Learn a Spanish subjunctive mood easily. Tips for beginners. Discover how to understand and use the Spanish subjunctive mood with simple tips and science-based learning methods for beginner Spanish lessons. Why the Spanish subjunctive mood feels tricky, and how to make it click. Hey! So you have probably heard about the Spanish subjunctive mood and maybe even felt a little intimidated by it, right? It's like this mysterious part of the language that sounds fancy and complicated. But honestly, it's not as scary as it seems once you get the hang of what it really is and when to use it. Let me tell you about it in a way that actually makes sense. First off, if you're trying to learn Spanish or looking into a Spanish language course, the subjunctive is a big piece of the puzzle that almost everyone eventually faces. It definitely shows up a lot in real conversations, especially when people talk about wishes, doubts, emotions, or things that haven't happened yet. What exactly is the subjunctive? Think of the subjunctive as the mood that Spanish uses to express uncertainty, desires, hypothetical situations, or opinions rather than stating facts. English has some ways to show this too, but it's much more baked into Spanish grammar. For example, instead of saying, "I want you to come," in English, that's just one sentence. In Spanish, you'll see it split into two with a verb in the subjunctive. Quiero que vengas. The vengas part is subjunctive because it's not a fact. It's a wish or desire. When do you use it? There are a few situations where you'll commonly use the subjunctive. Here's a quick list to keep in mind. Wishes or hopes. Espero que tengas un buen día. I hope you have a good day. Emotions or feelings. Me alegra que estés aquí. I'm happy that you're here. Doubt or uncertainty. No creo que él venga. I don't think he's coming. Expressing necessity or advice. Es importante que estudies. It's important that you study. After certain conjunctions, like sin que, without, antes de que, before, para que, so that. How to recognize and form the subjunctive. It might seem overwhelming, but once you learn the basic rules for forming the present subjunctive, it becomes a routine part of expressing yourself. Here's a simple way to think about it. Start with the yo, I form of the present indicative, the normal, factual present tense. Drop the o ending. Add the opposite vowel endings. For are verbs, es, hemos, eis, en. For, and, ear verbs, a, as, amos, ais, an. For example, take the verb hablar, to speak, yo hablo, becomes hable in subjunctive. Or with comer, to eat, yo como changes to coma. Tips to make learning the subjunctive easier. Here's the cool part. You don't have to memorize everything at once or get overwhelmed by a million exceptions. The best way to really get comfortable is to expose yourself to plenty of examples, especially in simple sentences. Using a Spanish language course that's designed for Spanish for beginners can help because it breaks down these ideas step by step. Also, check out some science-based learning methods that emphasize how your brain really picks up languages. Spaced repetition, context-based learning, and lots of listening and speaking practice. These approaches make it easier to internalize these grammar points rather than just memorizing rules. Putting it all together. Once you start to recognize the subjunctive as just another tool to express feelings, wishes, or uncertainty, it'll start to feel natural. It's a bit like learning how to use might, or should, in English. You get used to those subtle meanings over time. If you're working through beginner Spanish lessons or trying to build your vocabulary with basic Spanish phrases, try to practice with sentences that use the subjunctive mood. That way, it won't just be an abstract grammar rule, but something you can actually use in conversations. Start your language journey now. If you're excited to get a solid foundation in Spanish, focusing on the subjunctive and all the other grammar essentials, why not try learning with tools backed by real science? Visit Science-Based Learning to find courses that help you progress confidently and enjoy the process. Remember, it's all about consistent practice and learning smart, not just hard. So yeah, the subjunctive is definitely a challenge, but it's a manageable one. Once you start noticing it in conversations or even in songs and movies, you'll see it's a key part of how Spanish speakers express themselves. And when you get there, it's pretty rewarding.